talking to people in the industry, they literally said everybody across the board, whether they're renting or selling RVs, this was the best summer in 40 years. Like nobody in living memory, nobody, they've in the history of RVs, it was just such a, there definitely was impact. Actually, my part of my background is in economics, and there's acute undersupply. I'm going to share my screen, but for people who might just be listening, this is, I derived this demand and supply curve. So this is the existing marketplace in the US is about $5 billion a year in RV rentals.
Wow.
And I've heard all kinds of estimates that the number of RVs is up to 200,000 units, but there's demand for about 35 million transactions a year. And this is all data before COVID. So, it's a little bit more than that now. And that red line at the top at 1.2 million represents the capacity of, those 200,000 units. Looks like a big number, but you'll notice it's by the week. The summer months and the summer weeks are completely sold out. And this is a graph for Southern California, actually. So you do have also a lot of rentals in the 7th, 8th, and 9th week, which is people's spring break. And week 11, which used to be Coachella, that wouldn't be there now. That's just been moved somewhere else. That'll be in week, there's talking about putting that in the fall. But this is what the excess demand looks like pre-COVID. Those green bars, that's what's not being met. It's pretty graphic, isn't it? And
that was one of my questions was, is there still demand on top of that 1.2 billion line? And it looks like there's a lot of demand.
Huge. And you'll notice it's all in the summer and extremely spiky. So July 4th is like the Super Bowl for RVing, etc. But, so it sounds insane. Why wouldn't there be more RVs for rent? And the real reason is because of that seasonality. When you look at that blue area, the red area is larger than the blue area. And if that red capacity line floated up, so if more units got added, the red area increases faster than the blue area. So certainly people can come into the marketplace and get market share and do well. But overall, as more units are being added to the fleet becomes less and less profitable, and somebody will drop off at the bottom. And so when you actually derive the supply curve, it looks like this. And so you read it from left to right. If there's less than 100,000 units in the marketplace, it's just going to be too profitable for the people who are in the industry, and more people are going to come into the marketplace. But right at about 175 to 200,000 units, the supply curve crosses over 120 days average rentals. And that's what you need to do to be profitable. And so as the fleet gets bigger, there's less and less rental days per unit available, and you're going to see people dropping off. So I don't know if that makes sense, but the way people who are thinking of renting their RVs, there's two types of people who would want to rent their RV. There's professional, they're going to run a fleet, they're going to run this like a business, and that's all they have the RV for, is to rent it out. For those people, the way they typically price is they'll take all the cost of running and maintaining and depreciating that RV, all the costs, and divide it by 100, and that's the nightly rate. And so if they rent it out 100 nights, they break even, and they're all striving for 120 nights a year, and that's a 20% profit margin. And that's kind of how they work it. For individuals, it's a little different, but if you rent out your RV on some of the peak weekends, like July 4th and the local, other long weekend, you can pretty much pay for your RV after just 2 or 3 transactions a year. And one of the things we did was, part of this cost curve. So a couple of things that I think COVID has done is it's definitely increased the demand for RVing. So prices did go up. So you're going to see more people coming into the marketplace. It's more profitable for the existing fleets, which is great. But what we did was, on our product, one of the biggest barriers to entry before was you had to have commercial RV rental insurance. And that's expensive, and it was a monthly premium you had to pay as the RV owner, whether you were renting or not. And what we did was we created a variable insurance product. So you only pay the insurance on a nightly basis. So if you're not renting it, you don't pay any premiums. And so that lets individuals come in and just do it a few, casually, and really soak up some of this peak demand on July 4th, et cetera. And it also allows fleets to become more profitable and maybe add more units. The other thing we did was we took the premium and we moved it from the price elastic party, the party that really cares about money, which is the party renting out their RV. They're just trying to make money. And we moved it to the party that, is less price sensitive. They just want the RV trip. So the guest pays the nightly insurance premium. And on our site, that varies from $70 a night for the really nicest, biggest RV, down to $25 a night for the least, trailers and less expensive RVs. And again, we cover $1 million liability, which is unique in the industry, and damage to the RV, if there's an accident. So and that's just been going gangbusters this summer, as you can imagine. About half the listings are trailers and half of them are motorhomes, but about 91% of inquiries by number and 95% by value are for motorhomes. They are by far the most popular. And of those, the Class Cs are the most popular. So that's the ones, with the bunk over the driver. And, I think it's because we see two kinds of people renting RVs primarily. I mean, there's all kinds, but if you're going to generalize, there's either the family looking for the family vacation, and so the kids sleep in the Class C in the bunk above the cabin, so it works out great for them. Or maybe millennials or younger people looking for an experience. They just want to unplug. They've maybe never gone camping before in their life or never left the city, and looking for that experience. And then again, it might be 4 or 6 or 8 people who kind of go together, have a party, and so there the bunk space is important. And again, the Class Cs are very popular. And particularly what's called, a bunkhouse, where there's extra bunks in there so it could accommodate 8 people on that camping trip. And, it's just a good time.
Yeah, I think typically also the Class Cs are less intimidating compared to the larger Class A's, or even towing a travel trailer if you've never done it before, or a fifth wheel or something like that.
Yeah.